Okay, everybody, it's Kevin Lockett once again. Today, we have an Emmy winner, a PR person, a journalist, a storyteller, a content creator, Zora Asberry. How you doing today, Zora?
I'm doing good, Kevin. How are you? That was a great introduction.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better at my introductions because usually if I'm introducing authors, I have my book and I was like, here's the book, but I don't have a book today. So I just, have to do something else to make sure we're having fun.
I love it.
All right. So, before we begin, if anybody ever meets Zora in person, she is 5'2.5". Not 5'2".
Half is important.
I saw a video and she wants you to make that point.
Well, half is very important, especially for us short girls.
I know it's that. It's like, you know what? Let's stop disrespecting the 5'2.5" women out there. Okay. So the reason we're talking to Zora, because Zora is based out of Las Vegas and the Super Bowl is out there.
Yes.
And I'm very intrigued because I haven't been out in Las Vegas for a long time. So I'm intrigued what's going on with Vegas, what's going on with the Super Bowl, everything, and some Black history facts. We'll mix in that as well. So I haven't been to Vegas in years. And I know they say New York is the place that never sleeps. I don't think Las Vegas sleeps at all.
Vegas definitely is a 24-hour city for sure.
24-hour city. So I'm taking what I knew from the past and I'm throwing in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
How is the traffic and the buzziness of Las Vegas right now?
Let me dig into my traffic bag real quick. So just backstory, I used to do traffic for the last maybe 5 years of my career at KTNV most recently, and then in San Antonio for Fox 29 at the time, and then also News 4 WOAI. So I've done traffic for a long time. So here's my little traffic report. Right now, Vegas is popping. There are so many people. The roads are so congested. If you look on Twitter, you'll see crazy videos of cars just backed up from LA. There are so many people from California that are coming to Vegas. And so that just speaks to what's happening, here in the city. Also, you probably have heard this on the news. There are no places for private jets to park in the airport because all the spots are booked up. So that just shows you how many big names and how many celebrities and public figures are going to be in town for the Super Bowl. And so this city is really lively and thriving, and it couldn't be a better time for Vegas.
I never heard of that before. I never heard that private jets. There's not enough
private jets in the airport there's no more parking. So you got to fly charter, I guess, if you want to come to the Super Bowl.
How dare you fly charter? How dare you?
For the environment.
Wow, yeah, just save the environment. But wow, that's actually something. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
So you've been there since, I'm saying 2021 or something like that?
2021, March of 2021 was when I moved here to Vegas.
So you've been there only a few years. You're Las Vegas from Austin, Texas, but you're a Vegas gal right now. But since you've been there, you've had the Aces win championships. You had the Golden Knights win a championship. The NBA had their tournament championship this year. You have the Super Bowl this year. How much has Vegas changed in the short time span you've been there?
Man, that is such a great question because when I first moved here in 2021, it was the end of the pandemic, and I had gotten the job offer in a very weird time. People were still wearing masks, and the Strip was desolate. There was no one there. I have pictures that I can send to you of just no one on the Strip, and it's just me, and it's eerie to look back and see that's how Vegas was in 2021, just, 3 years ago, going on 4 years ago. So when I moved here, it was really dead, and to see it revive itself and to see sports come back in such a major way and see the Aces win and see the Golden Knights win, and it's just been amazing. So I feel like I came to Vegas at the perfect time. I couldn't have chosen a better time for Vegas to be, my home. And so it's been really cool to see the city grow in that way. We hear talks about the NBA potentially coming to, Las Vegas. LeBron James has always mentioned Las Vegas in interviews. So he's really passionate about this city. So there's just so much happening here that I feel like we're only seeing the beginning of it. The Super Bowl, we have people like, Morgan, who is the president of the Las Vegas Raiders, a Black woman. And so it's just incredible to see that this growth has happened so quickly in such a short amount of time.
What caused that change? Because for the longest time, it was like, well, we don't want sports and intermingling with betting of Las Vegas. Like, what was the catalyst that changed everything?
I feel like I haven't been here long enough to be able to speak to that. But what I can say is that I think they figured out the balance. They figured out how they can make sports betting work and be viable and not intermingle it too much with sports in the city. One thing I will say, we've seen obviously a history with the Raiders. there is a lot of temptation here in the city, and it's hard to keep your morale, I think, as a team and as a young man or woman going into, a professional, league, and you have all this money that you just, got, and you don't know what to do with. And so I think there is a little bit of a danger there, in the sense that it's kind of a fun city and it's easy to get lost in this city. But at the same time, I think that sports teams have done a really good job of managing that, in a sense, and being able to keep things, good and PG, and make sure that their players are on the right track and doing what they need to do. And they've been winning, and it's been great. So to see the last few championships that we've been able to be a part of, seeing how the city comes together for big parades. I know the city is also built on spirit. And I think once the Golden Knights kind of revived the city in the essence of making it more of a sports team, as opposed to just a party scene, it really started to bring more attractions to the city. I really think the Vegas Golden Knights kind of started it all, and the Aces as well. And they really have just catapulted Las Vegas.
How popular are the Aces? Because they've won 2 championships. Yeah. And their fandom seems like it's just insane out there, which is great. Because I just had an interview with 2 women who were involved with the WNBA documentary on the WNBA PA. And when I look at the Aces, that's what I love to see, because I'm a supporter of women's basketball, women's sports. But when I see the fandom out there, it's amazing. It makes me feel good, because it just shows that WNBA basketball is a very viable alternative sport for people.
Absolutely. I've always loved the WNBA. I used to play basketball. I was not good back in high school, but I've always had a passion for women's basketball. I've seen some incredible athletes, even at the high school level. And so to be able to see fans support women playing basketball, because people will say, oh, it's slow, or it's not as interesting. If you really pay attention to women's basketball, it is 10 times more interesting, because they're so fundamental and so technical, and they play the game so beautifully. And so I think it's nice to see a city come together and stand behind women and really support them in a way. And honestly, the Aces, to me, in Vegas, are just as popular as an NBA team in any other city here in Vegas.
All right, so let's get into Super Bowl talk.
All right,
you mentioned the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my favorite stadium, I'm in Akron, so I have to say I love Brown Stadium, even though we need a dome. However, my favorite stadium in this country is SoFi. I think SoFi is a beautiful stadium. It's just the way the architecture is fantastic. However, that Allegiant Stadium is amazing to me. I'm a Star Wars guy. It looks like Darth Vader's helmet. It's all in black. I love that stadium so much. Like, what is this thing?
It looks like something out of outer space. I love the stadium so much. I've never seen SoFi Stadium, and I've only been to Allegiant Stadium twice. And you're going to laugh at why I went. It wasn't for, actually 3 times. It wasn't for a football game. It was for a Beyonce concert. Because I am the biggest Beyonce fan. But when I was able to go into Allegiant Stadium and see it from inside, I see it from outside every single day. I always take the I-15. That's like the major artery that runs through Las Vegas. And it's backed up right now for people in California trying to come to Vegas for the Super Bowl. But I was able to see it for so many years, and to see it inside was incredible. And then I also got to see it again at one of the last Raiders games, which was incredible. They won by a landslide. It was incredible. But that stadium it's amazing. The architecture is so intricate, and it's just really well thought out. It fits perfectly in the scene of Las Vegas. And you haven't been to Vegas in such a long time, but like, if you were to come to Vegas now, you would touch down at Harry Reid International Airport, and you would take that 15 and see the stadium. And it just it made the city skyline just 10 times more magical. I don't know how to explain it. So it's cool to see something on either side of the highway when you come through Vegas.
So where is the Sphere? Because U2 was on the Grammys, and they were doing a residency at the Sphere, which is amazing to me, because inside it looks like Thunderdome, because it's in the round. But the Sphere looks so, you talk about outer space, it looks so big. Do they constantly play videos all the time? Because I remember when the NBA, I think they did, initially they had the big basketball look of it, but do they always play videos like that, or is it just a big dome that just came out of nowhere?
They do. There's always something being displayed on the Sphere. And so it's been very awesome to see that too. They're so creative. I haven't been inside yet, and that's something on my bucket list for this year to do. I've seen videos of it, but they definitely did an incredible job. I know MSG Sphere, they really put a lot of work into it, and a lot of technology goes into it. To be able to see the U2 performance on the Grammys was super awesome. I had seen videos of the premiere when they first performed atmosphere here in Las Vegas. And so that was incredible as well to see that. But they really have done something intricate with that. And I really am excited to see what is to come. There's really cool visuals that they play. They really try to like immerse you into the experience. I don't know if you've seen any videos of inside, but it's really cool.
All right, so let's go back to Super Bowl. So what type of things are going on what type of events or things going on for the Super Bowl right now?
There are so many things happening. The city is just really thriving. I do PR, and so for one of my clients, House of Dutch Pot, it's a local Jamaican restaurant in Las Vegas. They're actually doing an event with Guy Fieri. So he was actually on Food Network, and it was Diner, Drive-Ins, and Dives, which is an incredible segment where they featured his restaurant. And so he was invited to work with Guy Fieri again this year for the Super Bowl. So we have so many local restaurants that are being highlighted at this event, not just House of Dutch Pot, which I think is really cool because when people come to Vegas, they think, Hell's Kitchen, or you think of, Gordon Ramsay, which these are all amazing restaurants, no dig to them. I love food, but it's really great to support your local restaurants and restaurants that you can't really find anywhere, like Barry's Prime Steakhouse, at Circa, or, 8 East at Circa, or other restaurants off the strip that may not get a lot of pubs. So I think that's really great that they're doing this.
Yeah, when I was in Vegas, that's the one thing I wasn't sure where to eat.
Yeah,
you mentioned a few of them
I
already.
can tell you.
Yeah,
I need to make a list. I have a list actually that I send to people whenever they ask, like, "Hey, where do I go? Where can I eat in Vegas?"
All right, so let's go through your list then. So what you mentioned some places before. So where are some places? Let's say I'm not a baller. I'm just some dude just to play the slots. Where are some nice places that I could go eat and have a good time?
A lot of the places that you're going to find are definitely going to be off the strip. One of my favorites, I love Korean barbecue. It's Master Kim. It's Master Kim's barbecue. And so it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. You cook your own food, but it's such an experience to be able to have like fresh meat and fresh food. You can order seafood if you want. And so that's one of my favorite Korean restaurants that I've found since I came here. There's a lot of Asian cuisine. We have something called Chinatown. And so on Chinatown, you'll find all kinds of authentic restaurants. It's on Spring Mountain. So if you drive down, you can find anywhere from Korean barbecue to pho to, dumplings. And there's so much variety here, which is incredible. Another place that I love, it's called Chef Kenny's. So this is good for vegans. If you are vegan, but you really love Asian cuisine, Chef Kenny's is the place to go. I told my mom and my sister about it. And so they came here and they visited and they tried it and they loved it. So that's another place. It's called Chef Kenny's Dim Sum. There's a couple of locations around Las Vegas, I believe. Another place that I like is, this is an Indian food restaurant called Clove. And that is on the southwest side of town in Las Vegas. And so that's another place that's really good. And then I love El Dorado Cantina for Mexican food. That's also a really cool place. There's 2 locations in Las Vegas. One of them is actually attached to a strip club, Sapphire. And then the other one, I know that's very Vegas, right? And then the other one is on the southwest side of Las Vegas. So there's so many different places that you can go. Even like I wouldn't say hole in the wall because that sounds so bad, but hole in the walls are honestly the best places to eat. There's this place called Boston Pizza, and it's on the north side of town, not too far from the Strat. So if you're on, Las Vegas Boulevard and maybe you're staying at Resorts World or the Stratosphere or Circus, you can take a trip, up to Boston Pizza and get you a nice big pizza or some wings. Or lemon pepper wings are fire. And so there's just so many hidden gems and so many local restaurants that you can go to, local coffee shops here. I'm a big coffee drinker. So Vegas is really a hidden gem.
You should really pitch a show to the Food Network, or you just rattle those places.
I would kill it. I love to eat. That's one thing that my family loves to do is we love to eat.
You're from we'll go back to Vegas for a second. You're from Austin, Texas. The only thing I know about Austin, Texas is South by Southwest, which is fantastic, by the way. Tell us about Austin. Like outside South by Southwest, what makes Austin special?
Austin always has a special place in my heart. It's the capital city. A lot of people don't know that. It's like the capital city of Texas. You would think it would be Houston or Dallas, but Austin really is a special place. That's where you have the Capitol building. So as a kid, just growing up, I lived there when I was little, and then I moved about an hour north of Austin, which is this little tiny town called Liberty Hill, where my dad still lives. And then in high school, I came back to Austin. I went to Crockett High on the south side. So I would take the bus from Crockett to my job at the YMCA in North Austin. And so I really got to see the entire city, the drag. You have UT there, which hook 'em horns. My mom's a Longhorn. I went to UTSA. But it's just such a cool city because it's a college town and it's always thriving. It's one of the top 10 journalism cities. So I kind of wish I went to UT. Maybe I'll go back and get my master's degree there one day. But Austin's just a gem. I can't explain it. Keep Austin weird. You have such a great live music scene. It's the live music capital of the world. I think it should still be that, if not Nashville. But it's a great city, and it was a great place to grow up. And so being able to live in Austin, you have the opportunity to travel to Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio within hours, and you're in a whole different environment, different vibe. And so that's the one thing I love about home and love about Texas, is that everything's a skip and a hop, as my mom would say, away from where you are.
Right.
It's a big state, but you can get through it in about 2 days.
It is a big state.
If you go from east to west, it might take you a little while, but from the big cities to big cities, it's not that hard.
That's cool. So going back to Vegas, you mentioned mountains before. You had a video where you were hiking on Red Canyon,
Yes.
Red Rock Canyon.
Yep.
Because I've been to Arizona a couple times the past few years. I knew about the Grand Canyon, but I didn't know Arizona has all these mountains. And I felt the same way about Vegas. I didn't know Vegas had mountains. Tell me about Red Rock Canyon and some of the other places people might be interested in hiking out there.
Yes, that's a great question. So I love Vegas for that scenery. It's really hot, so you obviously don't want to like come visit Vegas and be like, oh, I'm going to hike in July through, I would even say September. Not a good idea. But during the cooler months, September through November, like right now is a wonderful time to go hiking. Now Mount Charleston, probably not so good because it's snowing up there, but Red Rock Canyon, that's one of the best places. Calico Basin, I really love, which is within Red Rock Canyon. But if you go a little further north, you have Valley of Fire. If you go even further, closer past Utah, actually, you have Zion National Park, but that's only about 2 hours away from Las Vegas. So a lot of people don't really know how close Vegas is to so many amazing, beautiful landmarks. It's super close to the Hoover Dam. If you drive south on the 15, you'll find, and on the 215 actually, to Boulder City, you'll find the Hoover Dam, and that's as you cross into Arizona. And so that's a sight to see. It's kind of sad because the water is so low, and even Lake Mead, where we get a lot of our water source, is really low. And so that's been kind of critical for Las Vegas as well. But despite that fact, it's been really nice to be surrounded by mountains. It's something that I'm totally not used to. I came from flatland in Texas, and so you're used to seeing dirt and trees and cows and horses, and you still have horses and cows here in Vegas, but it's just been interesting and a different change of scenery. Like right now, I went outside earlier today for an appointment, and I looked outside and I saw the mountains covered in snow, in the distance. Wow. Like you can't paint a prettier picture. I love Vegas for that.
You mentioned, because we always hear from this side of the country, we always hear about California dealing with drought. I mean, it's changed now since they have so much rain, but I didn't know Vegas had the same problem. How bad is the
California,
problem?
Vegas, and Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, they all have the same water source. And so that's kind of been the issue recently, is being able to divide the water equally between users, here in Nevada and then also California. And of course, you have a lot of wealthy people that live in these cities. And so they're some of the higher users of water. So there's been a lot of stipulations and a lot of regulations that have been set into place recently here in Las Vegas that really help facilitate that and crack down on people that are abusing their use of water.
So going back to the Super Bowl at Vegas, Usher will be the halftime performer. I'm a big Usher fan. Usher, I think he said it's going to be a little bit longer than most.
Yeah. Maybe something which one? Yeah. Usher, yeah. Love Usher.
Have you been to his residency out there? I
have. I got to go. I got the awesome opportunity because I had a girlfriend who she had tickets, and she asked if me and my man wanted to go, and we were able to see Usher up close and personal at his residency when he was in Caesars. So before he went to, I think he's in MGM now. But we saw him at Caesars, and oh my gosh, it was such an experience. He was incredible. I've loved Usher my whole life. My man has always loved Usher because he's also in the music industry. He's a singer, songwriter, MC. So it was really cool to see him. And then I got the awesome opportunity to meet him in person at Resorts World. When I first moved here, there was a big grand opening event. Like everyone from Kris Jenner to Paris Hilton to Kendall Kardashian were there, or Kendall Jenner, excuse me. She was there, and it was just a really cool event, and he was there. Usher was there, and to be able to see him and meet him in person was really cool.
I thought you were going to say Usher sang to you.
No, I wish. I guess he didn't start singing to people until he moved to his residency at MGM. So I guess I'm going to have to get another ticket and see another show.
Was he still was he roller skating at his previous, or did that also?
He was. He was definitely roller skating. He had stripper poles, the whole nine. It was definitely an experience.
I'm actually glad that he did a residency, because I think there was a point maybe 5, 6 years ago where people were kind of forgetting about him.
Mhm.
And I'm glad the spotlight is back on him. It's like, I don't think people
Right.
understand how many songs this dude has.
He
I think
has so many.
after the Super Bowl, I think they'll realize this, but he has a trunk of songs.
He has so many. You know, he's a legend. Usher is a legend in his right. He is definitely the king of R&B. In my mind, people can argue me about that, but he's the king. He's done so much. I mean, you can think of just songs with Beyonce, songs he's done on his own, his dancing ability at his age, not saying the age, I'm no ageism, but being able to move the way he does, and it still perform and put on a show. And then you have women from all over the world that adore Usher. Kim Kardashian, you have, who else was there? Keke Palmer showed up to his show. Winnie Harlow. You have so many fabulous, amazing women who all love Usher. And it's just so fun to see the interactions of him dancing with them. And, it's just fun. And it's just been really cool to see.
I'm going to get some debates after this about who's the king of R&B after this.
I think it's Usher.
But it's objective. But I'm glad you said Usher. Like, people can say Michael Jackson, other people, but most people kind of skip over Usher. So
Michael Jackson, obviously, he's the living, not living, but he's a legend forever, living and dying legend. He is the ultimate. But I think whenever it comes to people who are living legends right now, I would say Usher is definitely, he's that guy.
So speaking of legends, we're going to switch to Black history. I saw a video that you did about the Harrison House.
Yes.
And I think it was Bonanza Road.
Yes.
For people who don't know, because I think when it comes to Black history, because I was thinking about this, when Black history happens every February, we kind of focus on the South and in the Midwest and the African American Museum, but we forget about the West. And there's a lot of Black history out West that we never hear about. So much. So let's first talk about the Harrison. What is the Harrison House?
So the Harrison House was a house that was basically a boarding house that Black musicians got the opportunity to stay in whenever the Strip really wouldn't allow them to stay on the Strip. And so a lot of people don't think about Vegas as history, but a lot of Vegas's history was based around entertainment. And so when people settled here, obviously during the time where there was a lot of segregation, you had people that weren't really allowed to stay on the Strip. Like you could come in or you can come perform, basically like we'll let you come, be on the stage, but when your show's over, like, sorry, buddy, you got to figure it out. And so people like Sammy Davis Jr., Nat King Cole, Harry Belafonte, they didn't know where else to stay. And this was the one house that would allow you to stay there. And so there was something called, I believe it was called the Black Book. And so when I did the story, this beautiful woman, Catherine Duncan is her name. She now owns the house and she is the person who's keeping all of the history alive. She showed me what this book was called, and it was called the Black Book. And back in the day, travelers and entertainers would look at this book, and depending on what city they were going to, it had stuff from the whole, United States of places to stay. If you looked in the Las Vegas chapter, you would see that this Harrison House on Bonanza Road was the place that they allowed Black people to stay. And to think about that, imagine traveling, you're doing what you love, you're singing, you're trying to make a career, you're trying to feed your family, and you have to face not being able to stay certain places whenever you're trying to travel and trying to make money for your family. And so this woman was able to bring people into her home, and she ended up bringing the likes of Sammy Davis Jr. Like imagine having Sammy Davis Jr. and Nat King Cole in your house, and Marilyn Monroe, and all of the greats of that time. And what was so cool about the Harrison House is that it integrated people of all races. You had people like Marilyn Monroe hanging out with Sammy Davis Jr. and Harry Belafonte. And so to hear those stories and know that it was not just a story, it's something that actually happened. And the reason why is because this one woman wanted to open up her home, and her name was, I believe, Genevieve. I can't remember her last name at the moment, but the fact that she was able to open up her home to people, and she made it luxurious, and she had marble floors, and she had just Persian rugs and just beautiful, embellishments into the house so that it made it comfortable for these people. It wasn't just, a hole in the wall house and uncomfortable. She really made it comfortable for these artists, and they paid her back for it by, showing her love and having her around the likes of other celebrities. So it was really cool.
Was it the Black Book or the Green Book?
I think it was is it the Green Book? It might be the Green Book. I believe it was the Green Book.
I wasn't sure.
Yep, you're correct. Let me see. It probably was the Green Book.
because I wasn't sure. It's like, oh, there's a black book too, but just to make sure.
No, if you're familiar with the Green Book, it was definitely the Green Book. I just couldn't
Yeah,
remember the exact name of it
yeah,
because the story so long
yeah.
ago.
But
But
it's cool. It's cool. Like the Green Book
Mhm.
is just it's a fascinating story that just how people had to travel
Right.
back then. And the crazy thing is, it's not that long ago. Like we're talking about Sammy Davis Jr. and Nat King Cole, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a long. Yeah, it is a long time ago, but it's not really that long time
No,
ago.
if you look back in history, I mean, it was in the century. So it's just like, when you think about that, it's like, it's eye opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what other Black history facts should we know about Vegas that we don't know?
Oh man, so where the Harrison House is, that entire part of Las Vegas is the historic West Side, and so anything past I-15 to the west near Bonanza Road in that area is considered historic West Side, and that's where a lot of Black folks landed whenever they came to Vegas and settled because they really weren't allowed in other parts of the city at the time, and so to this day, that's still an area where we do have a more demographic of African Americans in that area. And so it's just been really cool to see Vegas transform over the years. And obviously you have different areas like Summerlin and Henderson that don't have as much history, but in that one area, you have a lot of rich history from murals and paintings and just the way the houses were built, a lot of them with the original carpentry and architecture. And so it's been really nice to see the different demographics of Las Vegas.
How far is the Harrison House from the Strip?
It's right there. It's like 5 minutes. If you cross,
wow.
If you take Bonanza Road past the 15, you're in North Las Vegas already near the Strat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it easy? Is it easy? Because like I said, I was there for a conference. I was there for an NABJ conference when it was there.
Mm-hmm.
So how easy is it? Easy to get around Vegas, or is it difficult to get around? Do you actually? Yeah. The traffic wise, I know it's different, but how easy or hard is it to get around Vegas?
It's fake difficult. That's the best way I can explain it. Is like if you're not from here and you don't know how to get around, Vegas can seem very difficult, and you can get stuck in traffic. Like if you take the Strip, don't expect to get anywhere in the next hour. You're going to be stuck on back to back traffic and lights and behind people, and it's super slow. But if you know Vegas and the ins and outs, it's super easy to get around. And I really encourage people to come to Vegas and get off the Strip, because whenever you're off the Strip, it's super easy to navigate.
So I saw a video. You were it was real brief. You were answering questions, and you said when you're growing up you wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
But you end up being a journalist. I love journalism, so I can understand the appeal of media. What made you decide to become a journalist?
I was telling a friend this story the other day, and it's so weird because I don't think I ever just said, like, I'm going to be a journalist. One day, I'm not lying to you. This is a funny story. I was taking classes. I wasn't doing so well in bio and chem. Those are some of the most important classes you need to take in college. And I just wasn't really giving my full devotion. It's not that I wasn't smart enough to pass these classes, but to do bio and chem, you've got to really buckle down. And at the time, I just, I had my mind focused on other things. And so my advisor told me to think about a different major. And I've always been a natural communicator. So I can just remember writing short stories with my aunt, who's a children's book author in Argentina. And just being creative, always doing talent shows, always like wanting to, be in front of crowds and in front of people. And so I've always had a natural knack of being in front of the camera or being in front of people. That's never made me nervous. So I think I naturally just thought about it one day, and I really think God just placed it in my heart that like you should do journalism. Like this is where you can make an impact and use your creativity and use your ability for the better good and to help people. And that's really why I initially got into journalism. Is during college I just had a change of heart, and I wanted to help people through being a doctor, and that was why I wanted to be a doctor. And I could see that similar passion for helping people was also there in journalism. Journalism was a little easier attainable or more attainable at the time, but also it ended up being the best decision I ever made. Now that I'm older, journalism is still important to me, but now I'm thinking about being, a doula, maybe as well as being a journalist, and doing both, because I always wanted to deliver babies and be an OBGYN. And so, I feel like life is so limitless, and I think people try to put you in a box a lot of times. And so you don't have to just be a news person or a TV personality. I've been able to garner skills to be a public relations specialist. I've been able to garner skills to be a marketing specialist. If I have a very good touch. And so I feel like if I learned how to be a doula, I feel like I'd do incredible there. If I wanted to be a real estate agent, I could do incredible in that, line of work. And so I think it's really important to tell women, especially young women, that you don't have to be a monolith. You don't have to just do one thing or be one thing or have one title or let your title dictate who you are. What's important is that you should do everything and anything that your heart calls you to do, because if you don't, you're going to look back in 5 years and wish you had. So
What
that's
made you want to become? Yeah. What made you want to become a doula?
Well, my cousin is one, actually, and I recently have been looking. I've always wanted to be an OBGYN. That was my original passion whenever I wanted to be a doctor. I don't know why I was drawn to that field, but my mom and even my man, they always told me I have healing hands. I have a really good touch. I'm good with massages and like helping them, helping people feel more relaxed. And so I felt like that would be something I'd be naturally good at. I have a nurturing spirit. And so I would be able to really help moms, especially women of color who have so many, the birth rate for Black women and women of color and the birth death rate is incredible. I had an aunt who passed away while giving birth to two of my cousins, and I never got to meet her. And so knowing that story and hearing that, and then the fact that my cousin is also a doula and she's incredibly successful at what she's doing, it just really kind of opened my eyes that I don't have to necessarily get my doctorate or get my master's degree to still do something that I love and something that I'd be passionate about. So that's like a random goal that came into my mind, maybe a month or two ago. I haven't really like tried, to do it yet or taken any classes, but it might be something I might do before I turn, 40 or 50, who knows?
You should do it. Yeah, I think we need more doulas.
That'd be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that'd be pretty. No, it would be really cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned Argentina before. Have you ever been to Argentina?
I have been once. So I went to Argentina. Well, like I don't even remember the year. Was it 2011, 2012, maybe, with my mom and my brother and my sister? And it was an incredible experience. I have aunts and uncles that still live there, and cousins that live in Buenos Aires. And so it was really cool to see my mom's culture and see where she comes from and where she grew up, and eat empanadas and go to, restaurants and, have the barbecue and all of the things that I love, milanesas and all of the home cooked food that I always had growing up with my mom. To see where it comes from was really cool.
Right. Going back to journalism. So you've been a storyteller for a long time. You're doing PR now too, but what makes it for young people who want to be journalists? So what makes a good storyteller?
That's a great question. I think the most important thing is being connected with the community and being able to see a story. That's one of my abilities that I've really held on to is being able to find a story. And it's important to be able to pitch something that can help the community, can better the community, and can make a difference. And whether it's a crime story and you're, representing a family whose family member was wrongly killed and they want to speak out, for that family member, whether it's helping a young child get adopted because you ran a story about him not being able to be adopted because he's in high school and no one wants to adopt an older kid, and then you run your story and that person gets adopted. That was something that happened to me early in my career. To see that come to fruition, it just was really heartwarming. And so I think for journalists, a lot of people get into it for the wrong reasons. They think that there's glitz and there's glam and that, you get your makeup done, you get your hair done. You do get those things whenever you get to the network level, but there's a lot of work that goes into it behind the scenes, and it really takes dedication. You don't get paid a lot when you first start out in journalism. I got paid $25,000 at my first job, and I'm living with roommates, and I'm struggling to figure out what I'm going to eat for dinner. Am I going to eat ramen noodles tonight, or is it going to be mac and cheese? It was those little decisions and sacrifices that I had to make. And so telling young journalists that are inspired and want to be in this business, it's going to be a grind. It's going to be tough. It took me, I would say 2-3 years, maybe even 4 years to make a livable salary and wage in this business. And so even 5 years after that, I'm still fighting, to make a wage and to be paid fairly as a woman, as opposed to my male counterparts. And so I think it's important to tell young journalists that, hey, it's not, everything it might be cracked up to be, but if you're passionate and you're dedicated, show up to work on time, do what you got to do, handle business, be kind in the workplace, you'll be successful.
I think when we're just a TV watcher and we see journalists, this person left went to this city and they moved to this city. I think the thing that's lost in this is that they're going to a totally different city that they might not know.
Right.
As a journalist, you're from, let's go back from you going from Austin to Las Vegas. Unless you've been out there before, you don't know anybody in Las Vegas. Right. How do you, as a journalist, start connecting yourself to the community so you can create good stories that comes off well on TV? So how's that connection?
For me, it's been really seamless and it's been a blessing. I think people kind of gravitated towards me, but I also was really open to meeting people. And I think that's what it takes. You have to be open. You have to want to meet people in the community, and make friends, make friends and get out there, go to restaurants by yourself. I'm someone who goes places by myself all the time. So it's nothing for me to meet someone new. And so that has been really helpful in my career. And then I honestly think viewers, if they really love you, they will reach out and they're so supportive. And to really just like play into and lean into the people who support you, I think is the best way to explain it. Is you want to go where the love is, and you would find that you have so much support, more than you could ever imagine. And so in Texas, I really felt that. In San Antonio, I had so much love, and it's one of those cities that really embraces you. And if you're in San Antonio, they love watching the news, and they're really invested in the city and what's going on and what's happening. And so that's been a blessing, is to go into these different communities and feel that love of people that just care about their community, whether it's Spurs fans, whether it's Raiders fans, whether it's Aces fans or VGK fans that also watch the news. It's a really cool crew to be a part of, and to feel that and to see it, play out on the news has been pretty awesome. Whenever there's big events in town and there's big parades and the coverage, it's really exciting.
You had a video where you had your planner, your 2024 planner, and you were talking about which I admire that you enjoy writing things out. As you see, I have my spiral. No, I love a spiral notebook. I love writing. But you mentioned something about building a brand. So really quick, what tips can people? How can they build a brand? It's easier now if you got social media, so it's quicker, but it's still, you could have the best social media in the world. People might not still gravitate to you, but what are some tips about people building a brand?
Yeah, I've been lucky because I had a platform, and the news has allowed me to, gain more followers, so to speak. But even still, I think it's important that you use your platform for the better good. And so I think it's important to just know what you like to do, and play into that. If you like to sing and dance, like I like to sing and dance, post videos where you sing and dance. If you like to make crafts, arts and crafts, create videos where you make arts and crafts. And I promise you'll find a demographic or people who identify. I did not think that planner video would have gotten such the response that it did. I was just literally like, you know what? I was inspired. It was the beginning of the year. I told myself that this year I'm going to start creating more content for myself instead of just necessarily for news stations. And so I decided to record a video of me writing in my planner, and I got feedback. And what was really special to me is a friend of mine had messaged me and was like, oh my gosh, like that video about you and your planner, it really inspired me, and it made me want to start writing things down. I've been thinking about this for such a long time. I've been wanting to go into this career field. And you inspired me by talking about manifestation and really writing things down and putting things into motion. And so manifestation, I think, is one of those things that is slept on. People don't realize that you can speak your life into existence. There are so many things that have happened in my life that have happened because I've spoken them into existence, and I never knew in the moment that word or phrase or sentence coming out of my mouth would be so powerful, but it is. And so that's why it's so important to watch your tongue and only speak on things that you want to happen and you want to come true. And when you do, be specific, and you will be surprised what happens. Also, spirituality is super important to me. I think manifestation isn't possible without God. So I'm a big spiritual person who's spiritual and big on spirituality. And I think that when you tie the two together, you can't just manifest blindly. You have to make sure that you're talking to God and you have that message being sent directly to, where it needs to go to, and not in selfish prayer, but really be humble about it and be open to what the possibilities are, because his plan for you isn't going to be the same as your plan for you. And that's something I've also learned is, I've been operating in my own faith, but at the end of the day, what I can do is only what I can do, but the bigger picture is up to him. So it's really important to kind of let go and let God really at the end of the day.
Those very wise words. Sidebar for a second. Who is David Perrico? Because he seems like a really talented, cool dude. I think he was in Youngstown recently, going to Youngstown.
Yes.
Like, who is this guy? I love this guy. I don't even know who he is, but he's great.
David is awesome. So David is another one of my clients. I've been doing freelance PR the last few months for myself, for my own business. And he is an incredible musician. He's a trumpeter and a composer. And he started out in Youngstown, Ohio, playing, the trumpet with his dad, who played the saxophone. And in Youngstown, there are a lot of great music legends, especially that play the trumpet. And so I recently got the opportunity to help get him placed on some of the local news stations and tell his childhood story about how he's coming back to Youngstown for February 14th from Valentine's Day. So in a week from today, he'll be performing at the Dior Performing Arts Center in Youngstown with the Youngstown Symphony. And that's going to be incredible. And I'm so excited for him and for this opportunity, because this is just going to be a great homage to his hometown. But David has been here in Vegas. He's the leader of the Raiders house band, which is super cool. It's the only house band in the NFL. There are no other stadiums or bands that play for other teams. So what he's able to do is he's able to play during breaks, during transitions, touchdowns, when they score, anything. Like, they have a cool sequence that they do for each of these that are like composed down to the second and produced down to the second of, what they're going to play and what they're going to perform. And it's really awesome to see David Perrico on such a big stage and to see them perform throughout the Allegiant Stadium. I got to experience the performance myself, and it's just so cool how receptive Raiders fans are to the house band. They play everything from Bon Jovi to Bruno Mars, Pitbull, Jerry Rafferty. And so it's just really cool to see the diversity of the pop symphonic, as David calls it. He's great.
Those Raiders games sounds really fun.
They are so much fun.
I just gotta make sure I don't wear my Browns jersey. I don't think that would go well.
You might get booed a little bit. But
that's the easiest thing if I get booed.
Right.
All right. CES is always out there. What about tech and social media out in Las Vegas? Is there a very tech-heavy influence out there in Vegas, or is it not?
Absolutely. CES is huge. I know it just passed, but it's a huge, I guess, what is the best way to put this? It brings a lot to I can't explain, how am I trying to explain this? I can't explain how it's so big, honestly, that it's really hard to put into words. It basically brings so much to the economy in a essence that the innovators that CES has here in Las Vegas and the kind of technology, and some of it's really strange, but it's innovative and it's so huge of an event that it really shuts down a lot of the area near the convention center for a couple of days, because so many people are going to find out the latest tech. And it's really cool. I don't know how Vegas became the tech center of, the tech mecca of United States, but it's really been cool to see CES as well. I've never personally attended one, but I would love to, because I've seen a lot online of the crazy technology that we have. And it's cool to see technology that's come so far. It's a little scary, but it's really nice to see.
What surprised you about Vegas when you first moved out there? What surprised you that you didn't know about it?
I would say local life. I think a lot of people think about the Strip and they are so, I guess, immersed in what's going on the Strip and the local casinos, but it's really expensive. And there's a lot happening on the Strip, but if you just take the time to go off the Strip, you can find better restaurants, you can find better, nightclubs, bars, lounges, places to hang out. And it's just a really cool city. Cost of living is great here. To buy a house is very affordable and you get a lot of bang for your buck. The weather is incredible year round. You might have a couple of pockets where it's cold or it's rainy, but other than that, it's sunny and it's 95, sometimes 105. But when you get used to the heat, Vegas is a really fun place to live.
Yeah, because I noticed there's a lot of people who's moving from California into that area. So yeah.
Right.
Got a few more questions, and I'll let you go because you're a very busy PR lady of the world.
No, you're good.
So you mentioned Valentine's Day. So what's Valentine's Day like in Vegas?
That's a great question. I have experienced a couple of Valentine's Days in Vegas. I think the biggest thing is the restaurants. A lot of people like to go to the steakhouses and obviously Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay, those restaurants that are really well known, and just have a reservation. Make sure you have a reservation. That's the one thing I will say is there's a lot of restaurants that get booked up ahead of Valentine's Day. So if you haven't made your plans, you might want to make them right now. But a lot of date nights, a lot of cool places to go. It's really the hardest part is narrowing down where you want to go.
Yes, it's because there's so many different choices.
There's so many things to do. Mm-hmm.
How early should I book? Can I do it the day before, or do I have to do weeks before?
I would say do it a week before, at least.
All right. So we're winding up. So if I'm coming to Vegas, I'm going for the Super Bowl. If I say you're my tour guide, which way am I going? It's like, hey, I'm going to the big game, but which events should I check out first?
I'm not super well versed in all of the events that are happening because there are so many events, and I'm honestly, as a Vegas local, trying to stay as far away as possible from the Strip.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are so many things. You just have to look on social media and check out what's happening. I know that there's a couple of events, some rap events that are happening around town, which I love rap music and I love hip hop. And I know, we just had the anniversary for hip hop. And so it's been really cool to see a lot of tributes for the 50th anniversary. But let's see. I had an event that I was going to mention, but I can't find it on my phone right now.
That's all right.
But there's a couple of different events around town. Here it is. It's Mac 10, Too Short, and DJ Quick. This is going to be happening on February 10th on Saturday, and it's West Coast Hip Hop All Stars. Tickets are $35, so it's super affordable. So that's something. So it's just really important to kind of look at different events around town that are affordable that you can go to. And I'm telling you, the more things that you do that are off the main part of the Strip, you'll have a lot more options and a lot more affordable options too.
That was pretty affordable. Okay, you said hip hop.
This I think might be, see, it's going to be on Craig Road, so it's not even on the Strip. So 628 Craig Road, North Las Vegas.
All right, book it, people.
Yeah.
You mentioned hip hop. Who are your top 5 hip hop acts? Go.
Oh, Jay-Z. I would have to say this is going to be controversial. I love Future as well. Kendrick Lamar. Kanye is a genius, but I know that he's very controversial. That's what I was going to say second. And then if I had one more, Lil Wayne. Yeah, Lil Wayne's definitely my top 5.
Weezy's in there. So if you could only choose one.
He's actually like number 1.
Weezy's one? Who's one? Is Weezy one or Jay's one?
Weezy's one, and then Hove is number 2, I would have to say. And then maybe Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, I know. I'm a big Weezy head. And then Future, it falls somewhere in there.
Why is Weezy your favorite artist?
I grew up on Weezy. I can recite every single word to every single one of his raps, word for word, ever since I was in middle school. So he really was just influential. I think a lot of, the young generation just doesn't know how much he impacted the people that we hear today. Like he created essentially Lil Uzi and Future and Young Thug and, Gunna and all of the artists that we see today. Like that was the one. He was the blueprint. I think Jay-Z had a lot of, influence again, around J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. And so when you look at people like Jay-Z and Lil Wayne, they both really created the people that we see today. They are the legacy.
You know why? Because I don't think Wayne really talks about himself that way anymore. There was a point, I think, in the 2000s when he said, "I'm the greatest rapper alive" because he wanted that title. Mm-hmm. But then once he put out Drake and Nicki, he kind of stepped back. And so you're right. I don't think the kids understand how influential Lil Wayne is.
Right. And we love Drake and Nicki, right? And so they are directly from him. It's like they're his kids. But
right.
They gave him that respect too. So a lot of people don't give Wayne the credit that he deserves. He's an incredible lyricist and his metaphors are insane. And he's a legend.
All right. Zora Asberry, thank you for the conversation. Tell us why you love Las Vegas.
Okay. That's a great question as well. Las Vegas is just a great city. Like I mentioned, it's affordable. I think it's a decent place to raise a family, contrary to popular belief, even though, it's kind of a wild city. You have a lot to do here. And even there are a lot of things for kids, surprisingly. There's so much happening outside of the Strip. And that's why I love it the most, because you can go to the Strip and it's like taking a vacation. But whenever you come off the Strip, you can go home. I'm 10 minutes from the Strip. So it's like being able to, leave the fun there and to come home and have a different life and to be able to go grocery shopping or go, to the park and go walking or shooting some hoops, with my family or, taking a jog around a park. There's so many beautiful parks around Vegas. It's just really cool to be in a city that's so beautiful, so clean. You wouldn't think that Vegas would be a clean city, but it's super clean. It's one of the best cities I've ever lived in. So Vegas is definitely my top 5.
All right. Well, if it's in your top 5, I'm sure we have to give respect to your hometown. You're number 1, I'm sure. So why do you love Austin, Texas?
It's home. Austin, Texas is home, and it's such a unique, cool city. And so much magic happens there behind the scenes. It's kind of like a hidden gem. And I think it's progressive. It's more progressive than the rest of Texas. And it's just home. And that's where my family is. So it's always going to have a special place in my heart.
All right. Sounds good. So Zora Asberry, thank you for the conversation. If they want to learn more about you, where can they go?
You guys can go to my website or on any of my social media pages, but my website is www.zoraasberry.com. And then my social media is just Zora Asberry everywhere, Zora Asberry TV or Zora on TV.
And if they want to find out more about Las Vegas, what website should they check out?
You can follow me on social media on Instagram. I think Instagram is a good place to see what there is to do around Las Vegas. And I try to document most of my experiences there, especially on Reels and then TikTok as well.
All right. If you do get a show on the Food Network, I need a co-executive producer credit.
Yes.
You could be a doula / travel host, traveling, doing doula stuff like all over the world.
I would love to do that. Food channel, doula, PR specialist, my own show, my own podcast, all that.
I can't wait. I'll tell my friends, I know that doula.
I love it.
All right.
Kevin,
Thank you, Zora.
To you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.